Yo, what's good, y'all? Surprise, man. Today, we got a quick video here, man. As somebody who's a wrestling fan, just got done watching SmackDown just an hour or two ago, and it came and went. It was an show, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? It just didn't really come with it, if you ask me. It just didn't really come with it and stuff like that. So, but there was even bigger news though. I was actually give credit real quick. Shout out to JC Jane, you know what I'm saying, doing her thing, seeing her in NXT and stuff like that has been cool with the amount of heat she was able to get going against Rhea Ripley. Even though part of that heat is what I'm saying, could be a part of the fact that, Rhea just became new champion. They obviously love Rhea. So her going out there and interrupting her was gonna get some type of heat, but it was not getting that type of heat when she was in the feud with Jade. So hey, if they plan on actually having an extended feud, that'd be something, because they already starting off to a hotter start than Jade and Rhea did. But anyway, nonetheless, it's about the releases, man. There was some WWE releases, as you may not know. Around WrestleMania season is always the time where they start doing the releases. That's usually when the big round of releases come out, because they want to, save some little petty pocket change. But we're going to go ahead and read off the list and just give our thoughts, man. So first, I'm going to just say to people, Kairi, Sane, Alister Black, Zelina, Uncle Howdy / Bo Dallas, Nikki Cross, Santos Escobar, Motor City Machine Guns, Dexter Loomis, Apollo Crews, Eric Rowan, Joe Gacy, Andre Chase, Zoe Stark, Alba Fire, Tyra May Steele, Serena Linton, is that or Sirena? I don't know what the hell. I ain't never heard of them in my life. Tyson, Tyreek, Chris Island, Malik Blade or Malik. I just be funny. Trill London and Luca Crucifino. So let me go over the people from I'm not surprised to surprised. Okay. First off, Luca Crucifino. The last I seen of him, he had because wrestling obviously is on my, Tour XX Twitter. So the last thing I heard of him was him having some type of new gimmick. I think he was supposed to have this kind of hippie type gimmick, no do love, Mick Foley type shit. He was supposed to have some type of new gimmick. That's the last I saw him. So yeah, he was up and gone. Trill London, I think, was one of the people they were, because I know they got some deal with Tubi, because they own Evolve now, one of the indie promotions at one point in time. They own Evolve now, and it's on Tubi. I think he was one of the people that I've seen before on there. Malik Blade was there from dang near the beginning of NXT, right alongside Idris Enofe, I think, in NXT. So they were a tag team that were actually pretty good. I don't know what ended up happening with them, but yeah, he ended up getting released, and it's crazy because I think I just seen him the last time we actually saw him. If you paid attention, I think he was actually in that promo package that Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and Speed did when they were like he was one of the wrestlers that were training with Speed. So that's actually funny enough. The last we saw him, but on NXT, we've not seen him in NXT at all. So that sucks. Chris Island, I think I might have seen him before. I think he was on LFG, the little reality show they got. They didn't even they didn't get nowhere with that. Tyson and Tyreek were a tag team that we didn't really see much of. Like the last time we saw them, it was with Wesley, who Wesley is in AEW now. So I don't know what they were doing with them. I don't even remember the last time I saw them. Tyra May still, I know, was the Olympian who was a gold medalist. It goes to show you everybody's not Kurt Angle. It just wasn't there with her. Maybe they didn't feel they could improve with her, because I think I seen a clip of her on Evolve too. So I guess they just probably was not able to get nothing out of her and said, hey, well, we'll have to get you out of here. Andre Chase had been there for a long time with NXT 2.0, and we just never really saw much of him ever. And I already knew it was going to be hard pressed to get him to any serious level on mainstream WWE television, so that one doesn't really surprise me. Now, the rest of these, let me start off by saying, bro, Apollo Crews gang, I'm going to be honest, give him his props. Let's actually applaud Apollo Crews, bro, my brother. I'm not even trying to be funny. He escaped so many rounds of releases, bro. He escaped so many releases. My man's was over here playing a role. When they were sending out release papers, and he was freaking ninja rolling, backflipping, ducking, jiving, his. You know what I'm saying? He was avoiding all releases as quick as possible. I think he went full on incognito, and they kept missing him. They kept just not realizing, oh, Apollo. I think they at one point just forgot he was on the roster, bro. And the last time we saw of him was the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, but we know they kind of put all the people they don't really use into that. So shout out to Apollo. I think he's been there since like 2015 or 16. So he's been there a long time. So shout out to him, man. He avoided those rounds of releases a long time, but God done it. They finally caught him. You know, Master Splinter has finally caught one of them turtles, man. It is what it is. I'm not trying to be funny. I actually feel bad for all these people, but you know, you try to make light of a bad situation. But shout out to Apollo Crews. You know, he's very talented. He just didn't really connect from a character standpoint, and when they kind of had him try to connect, it just kind of didn't go anywhere with him being I forgot what, I don't even know the nickname they gave him. I know he was trying to have the Nigerian accent and stuff, but hey, with Obafemi, they're like, yeah, I think he's gonna fare off better with the accent. But nonetheless, Zoe Stark is unfortunate because she obviously had that injury where she tried to do that springboard drop kick, and because she tried so hard, funny enough, against Kai in a match that had Kairi in it, funny enough. I think it was a triple threat for the Elimination Chamber. Was it the Chamber, or I think it might have been the Chamber. Was it Chamber? No, it had to have been like either a Chamber match or like a Money in the Bank. It was some qualifier, and it had, I think, Zoe Stark, Zelina Vega, Rhea Ripley, and Kairi. And I think she was supposed to do a springboard drop kick on the Kairi, but because Kairi was so far out, she tried to like use as much of her leaping power as she could to leap all the way over there, which, hey, as somebody who tries to test their athleticism, I applaud the efforts. But yeah, she ended up unfortunately landing badly and tearing her, I don't know if it was MCL, ACL, it was probably everything in between, because she didn't come back for a long time. And apparently I seen that she sent a message saying the WWE was helpful during the healing process, so good on them for that. But it's very unfortunate that she didn't even like at least get to have a comeback. So unfortunate for her. She was a good wrestler. I know she didn't really connect from a character standpoint, but she was really good in the ring for sure. So that's a very unfortunate, especially with the injury she was dealing with. Last ones I'm gonna say on here real quick. Santos Escobar, I think he was in AAA, but they never, even though they signed him, I think, to the WWE, but I know WWE owns AAA and all that, but they weren't really they didn't do anything with him on the main roster. I don't know if they brought him back for AAA or what, I don't know what happened with that, but I think he was in AAA. So yeah, they didn't use him at all. Now, here's the big ones here. Dexter Lumis, Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas, you know, Nikki Cross, Rowan, and Joe Gacy. All of them were, you know, being the Wyatt Six, you know, they were feuding. Tired of that. It was just going on so long. It felt like it had no end. Same thing what I was saying with like LA Knight in the Vision. Just nonetheless, they were still on TV every single week, right? Even though the MLC feud got, you know, annoying to a certain point. The fact of the matter is they were on TV every single week, and it just seems like they never lived up to the hype past their debut. Like when they made their debut and took everybody out, that was great, and then they just never capitalized on it. Even, and reportedly part of that was because Bo Dallas was injured, so they didn't have a leader to really, you know, do some good stuff with them. But nonetheless, they were being used. Like that's another team that were literally just there last week, right before WrestleMania. They had a Street Fight or something like that against the MFT, so they were just recently used. So these weren't people that were like off television. So sucks for them in the YS6, and shout out to, you know, what they were able to do with whatever they were given. You know what I mean? Nonetheless, you know, I know they obviously were trying to honor Bray Wyatt and kind of keep his legacy alive. And it's just unfortunate that we won't have that, man. You know what I'm saying? Not that I was like a massive Wyatt 6 fan, mainly because of their presentation just didn't really captivate me and make me interested, but it was dope having them there just because it does, like I said, keep Bray Wyatt's legacy alive, you know, through them, and it's just unfortunate that we won't see that. Alba Fire was obviously a part of Secret Harvest with Chelsea Green, her little group, and they just never did anything with Alba. I mean, they were just using her as a flunky, but nonetheless, she was still on television. This wasn't somebody they weren't using, so it just kind of sucks there, you know. Hopefully she can do some great things and stuff like that. If all of these people continue to wrestle in general, I hope they can do some great things other places where they can be more appreciated, book better, all that good stuff. Motor City Machine Guns is kind of shocking. Not very shocking, but kind of shocking, only because, you know, even though they weren't doing a whole lot with them, they were needed. They were a much needed tag team in the tag team division. Even though they never really connected with the crowd, they had name value from, you know, being a popular tag team on the indies and stuff like that in TNA for a long time. So for a place that needs help in the severe help in the tag division, you would have thought they would have kept them around just because of their experience and stuff like that, and how good they are in the ring. Even like I said, even though they didn't really connect to the crowd like that, you would have thought they would have kept them because of how good they were in the ring and the experience they were in the ring. And again, because they were in dire need of real tag teams, they were one of the few legitimate tag teams and not just like, people thrown together. So that sucks, and that's a little bit surprising, but it's also not surprising because, again, they weren't really acting like they were going to do anything big with them anyway. Again, outside of when they first got there, right? Because remember they won the tag team championship within like 2 months. But yeah, they never got anything again past that like initial start. And they had that great TLC match. It just sucks because they were also part of that 5-star TLC match that we had last year after WrestleMania last year. So that sucked. And they were also part of that great match we had at SummerSlam last year. So they were having some banger matches last year. It just sucks that that's, again, a tag team that was needed in the tag team division. I don't know why they would get rid of them, but nonetheless, it is what it is. They don't really care for tag team wrestling anyway. So I guess they didn't really care to, get rid of them. But last ones are the big one, obviously. Alister Black and Zelina, man. With them kind of trying to use them as like the catalyst between like why Sammy is kind of turning heel and Randy Orton, it being the same thing with him. But with them kind of playing up to that story and the fact that Alister was in the Battle Royal, I don't know why they released them, considering it was so cool seeing them back together. I think somebody said just a year ago Alister Black actually came back, so they only had him for a year, and they released him again, because I think this is like his second release. Am I right? So yeah, that just really sucks for Alister Black and Zelina. I think they had, obviously Alister was a great wrestler. I thought there were ways, especially in the mid-card division, that they were able to add to the television screen, and again, they were being used as especially when Alister was in, not too long ago, was in that long feud with Damian Priest. So it wasn't like these were not people like they just weren't using, you know what I'm saying? So the only ones that really take me aback is Alister Black and Zelina, and then the Wyatt Six, and then the one right here that I'm about to talk about, Kairi Sane. Those three, Wyatt Six, Alister, and Zelina, we're counting them as like a package, and Kairi Sane, those were the ones that was really surprising because of the fact that she was I guess I could just zoom in now. She was a prominent part of television due to the fact that they were using her as like the main reason as the why Asuka and Io, two of the top females on the roster, were feuding. And also literally earlier this week, Raw after WrestleMania, which was just a couple of days ago, she was literally in the first match on the show with Asuka in a tag match with Rhea and Io. So she was literally in there with three top women, Asuka, Rhea, and Io, who are the top pretty much, and Asuka's been like a veteran that's been at the top of the game. And she was literally in there with all top females that they, have as their top females and that they're using, and that they're modern top females, especially with Io and Rhea as their current, biggest female stars they have. So the fact that she was involved in that whole thing, especially with the whole, free Kairi, and they said, well, we'll free out her contract. But nonetheless, she was involved in the whole Asuka brainwashing her and stuff, and Io being a top female, or pretty much one of the top female in the division, trying to get her to, kind of come to her senses and whatnot. And that was a story that was playing out every single week. Even though they were in backstage segments usually, they would do it in the ring too, right? Because they would constantly come out there and interrupt matches and all this other type of stuff. So that was actually something that was consistently on television. So I really don't understand that, considering, like I said, she was on television being used. The ones that aren't used, I can understand. Not to say I wanted them to get released, but at least that's a little more reasonable, right? Because we know, every year, especially when they want to have budget cuts, whatever their weird excuses, even though they're making all this money, especially with all these damn ads, but then you want to talk about releases. That's just how business works. Nonetheless, it's just one of those situations where I can understand the people that they weren't using. But Kairi and Alister Black and Zelina Vega, especially Alister, who literally came back just like a year ago, and the Y6, those are the ones I really don't understand. Like I said, Motor City to some degree, but it wasn't like they were really treating them as important. But maybe Motor City to some degree, but again, they weren't really using them, even though they do need reliable tag teams that can have those great matches. But nonetheless, it sucks for Kairi. Hopefully all these wrestlers are able to, whether they still wrestle or not, hopefully they're still able to feed their families with whatever their passion is. I'll say TNA could get a few of these people, man. I ain't gonna hold you. I think Alister Black would, if he wanted to still wrestle and stuff like that, I think he would do pretty good in the TNA, considering the WWE is about ready to take their talent, right? They got Joe Hendry, they got Jordan Grace. They probably gonna get Mike Santana. So considering they've lost some talent to the WWE, especially considering they're under the WWE umbrella, it makes it easier for them to access them. So it's just one of those situations where I'm just, I just hope and pray for all these people to just have jobs to be able to feed their families. Because even though you look at it as like, oh, they're just, we know firings happen all the time, especially after WrestleMania, so it ain't nothing crazy. I get what people mean by that, just because like it is something we see every year. But at the end of the day, we got to realize that no matter how much you can consider these people like superstars, these are still real human beings that genuinely were doing this. Even if they weren't being used a lot, they were still getting paid, right? So like they had families to feed and stuff like that. So praying and hoping for all these people to have great jobs, whether they still wrestling or not after this. Hopefully they can find a great line of work to be able to provide for their people, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, despite whatever titles they win or don't win and all this other type of stuff. It's all about being able to provide for your family, provide for your folks. So hoping for all these people to have great futures coming out of this, even if you never know, some of them can come back. You never know how it works. It's a crazy world of wrestling. But nonetheless, y'all let me know how y'all felt about these releases and which one surprised you the most. But at the end of the day, what I say is what's going to be this project. Continue to come out with content, videos, the bangers over and over again for you guys, posting every single day. So keep that post notification bell on. I will see y'all in the next goddamn video, and you will know the second the new video drops. That's all you need to know, folks. Have a good night. That's all you need to know, and that's the vibe that DJ's on.